Paintball nerd.
Today's guest on Paintball Nerd started playing paintball in 1988. He started playing competitively in 1991 with the team he started, Vendetta. In 1999, he joined Bob Long's Ironmen. He's also played for Aftershock, MR Factory, and Nexus. In 1991, he founded MR Paintball Gear. He's the founder of the CPPL. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mike Carey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Man, good to have you.
Thanks for having me. I am a bit of a hermit, so you're the first person to dig me out of the ground. So
we got him. We got the hermit out of his shell.
Yeah, right.
So, Mike, how did you start playing paintball?
I think everybody has their first day of paintball story kind of thing, right? My first day of paintball story was actually just it was like November 11th. It was Remembrance Day, and up here it was a holiday, so we were off school. So 1988, so I'm still in high school. And so back then it was Splat Masters, and if you were lucky, you got a PGP. Oh. That was because you could shoot 10 in a row or whatever. And the safety goggles were literally the same goggles I was wearing in chemistry class. I think I was in grade 11, and I got shot in the forehead.
Oh man.
And it I now, knowing what I know now about paintballs, I would shudder to think what they were actually using for paint. Yeah. And I got a giant welt in my forehead, looked like I got attacked by a hammer, and that was it. I was hooked, right?
Oh man.
So yeah, and then it just kind of just built from there, right? Just like everybody does, you buy your first. What was your first paintball gun that you owned?
First paintball gun was a Spider Spider Compact.
Mine was an SL68, which is basically like a pump gun version of the Custom 98. That was my first paintball gun. Tippmann's still around.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. So yeah, we all have our first gun kind of story, right? So that was good. So. It just kind of went from there, right? I can't believe your first gun was actually semi-automatic, because when I started, they didn't have semi-automatic.
Yeah, the semi-automatics just started becoming popular, and it was back then it was either a Spider or a PMI Piranha, so I went with the Kingman. And then Kingman also had the Hammer P and the Hammer pump guns.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just gotten out of the pump gun phase. So
yeah. You're from different generations. If you for some of myself at 50, and when I started in the 80s, if you say PMI Piranha, I think pump gun.
Oh right? Yeah,
because it was
a remake.
It was a remake. Yeah. So there you go.
So how did you end up on Bobby's Men?
So I had my own team for a long time, and being Canadian, it was kind of tough, right? We played locally here, and we started out as kind of the, I don't know, maybe you have a different memory of it, but when I had a memory of it, again, I was 17, 18 years old. So I looked at all the other guys that were playing like they were 100 years old, right? I'm like, oh my God. So as a 16, they were probably 25, right? But as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid, playing, we got really, really good, really, really fast. We were very athletic, and we could run. I was playing with my brothers at the time. My brothers played, and then a few buddies of mine from around the area played, and we were really, really fast, really, really aggressive. And so we went from the cute, cuddly kids that are going to be good one day to, winning, and they're all a bunch of cheaters and all that stuff that you deal with all the time, right?
Sure.
So then we needed to find new places to play, because we started doing so well up here that nobody wanted to play us. So at the time, it was the MPPL. Down in the States, they would have the different tournaments, usually Chicago and LA and Pittsburgh and things like that. So we started to get a team together, and we went down and we started to play there. And that's kind of how we started to go. Did that for a while, had some success. I won a 5-man tournament at the Badlands in Chicago there. We won a 5-man tournament. It was actually a trip for the last ICPPL tournament that they had down there, they had the camera on the one field in the woods, and that was the finals field for 5-man.
Should have been the zipper. That's what I think.
Right. Yeah. The zipper. I've got good memories of that place too, playing with Bob and his crew. Like, it was awesome in there. But that field that they had the camera on was the same field that the finals were on, and that was before Hyperball existed, right? Like, or any of that stuff. But,
no kidding. So that's the field that you won on.
That's the field that we won on. Playing against Lockout. Remember Lockout?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
the Lockout autocockers. Those are sweet.
Yep. Yeah. So we played against some guys from Lockout, and we kind of, at the 5-man level, we kind of beat each other up pretty good. And then they kind of obviously advanced a little further. But you get to the point where it becomes very expensive, time consuming, things like that. So some of my crew kind of starts to fall away, right? And but we played some really good games at 10-man level, and we kind of started, but you just keep showing up and you start doing really well against our pro teams. Our team was notorious for doing very, very well against the pros, because back then you mixed, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, our claim to fame is we would lose against a team that, wasn't as accomplished as us, but then we'd come out and we'd beat Bad Company right after they just finished winning the Pittsburgh championship event, right? You know what I mean? And then we'd beat the Ironmen, but we'd lose 2 games to somebody that,
Nobody's.
Anyway. Right. Yeah. Well, there was actually a team called the Nobodies, so you can't just, and they were actually very, very good. So you can't say that. But then, you kind of get known, and you keep showing up, and, people watch your games. And, so when my team kind of fell apart, that's when Bob kind of said, because he was just the split with the Ironman situation, paintball's first drama.
Sure.
So he needed guys and kind of asked me, and then, I played there for a little bit, and then I actually left and went and played with my team again. And we played at one event, and then all my guys quit, and I lost all my crew, and it just fell apart. So then I went back and played with Bob. Yeah, paintball. Then I went back and played with Bob, and thankfully I did, because that was, that incarnation with Bob and Zach and, Ron Nelson and all that crew there. That was the team that won the Mardi Gras tournament, and then had success overseas there, the 7-man tournaments in France, right? So yeah.
I remember you wearing the Purple Ice Flex 7 on Bobby's.
Yeah, apparently those are pretty cool now again, or something. Do you know how you know you're old? Do you know how you know you're old, Zyzek? It's stuff that
my driver's license.
Yeah, right. No, when clothes you used to wear are now cool again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes, like, things come back in fashion that you thought you never would. And it's like with the Flex 7 specifically, the goggle is, for all intents and purposes, outdated. Doesn't have a quick change lens or anything like that, bells and whistles. But it came back. It became cool again. And a lot of kids thought it was a new goggle. And it's like, that was the first, like, really good goggle,
That goggle hasn't changed in 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Now they don't even call it a Flex 7, right? You just dated
Flex.
yourself. It's a Pro Flex. Yeah.
I know.
You just dated yourself.
I know.
Flex 7. I'm like, who's this guy? He doesn't know anything.
And you know what? Before it was, after it was Flex 7, it was, oh no, wait, the Flex 8 was something else. That's something else.
The Flex 8's like that full one.
Yeah.
I run a store too. And do you know how hard it is to, like, how can I explain that this Pro Flex is $250? I don't know.
Oh man. That's Canadian though. 250 Canadian.
Canadian, yes.
Yeah. Well, because it's got ancient secret knowledge embedded within it. That's how you can explain.
As soon as you put it on, you're cool.
Yeah. Like, well, how quickly can I change the lens? Well, don't worry about that.
How's your fingers? Your fingers are gonna be sore.
Remember, you used to cut slits in, like, the little lens slots, little slits in them, so you can change them faster.
Really good story. We used to run. I used to run a lot of paintball tournaments and stuff. There's a big event up here called the Nationals, right? And it was in January. I'm not sure who had the great idea of having a paintball tournament in Canada in January.
Cool.
But really good idea. Anyway, for some reason or another, a bunch of the guys from the U.S. would come up. So Brian Vanini, Shane Pisana, Bob Long, Dave DeHaan. Anyway, he came up. It must have been the early 90s. And he had a prototype. Remember when we were idiots back in the day when we only wore goggles when we played paintball and we didn't wear a mask? He had a prototype. It was this Spectra frame must have been made out of rubber, because like literally if you got shot in the goggles, it would like you'd have to like. Anyway, that was the best quick change lens I've ever seen in my life, because you could just go
just pull it right off. Yeah.
But it was like literally the first Spectra goggle ever made. I think it was like still a prototype. It wasn't made out of the plastic yet. It was made out of rubber.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, before the Flex 7 was just the Spectra.
Yep.
So it's
the hard bottom.
The hard bottom. So it's called the JT Spectra Flex 7 because it's, it's like the Spectra mask, but then you got the Flex bottom. So I feel really old right now.
And before that was because JT had their elite goggles, which were basically their motocross goggles, right? This is
the Whipper.
The Whipper, right? And then they had the Whipper Snapper, and then they had the Soft Stream, which was like a whole helmet-based piece that would bolt onto your Whipper Snapper goggles. So
and then they made the Crossfire.
Crossfire helmet,
huge,
100%.
Huge.
I had one of those. Gotta say. Yep.
I remember the Malachevsky brothers had a full page ad on the Crossfire. They didn't wear them, but they were in the ad.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that goggle must be good.
Yeah. Man, there's some legendary names. Hey, that's one for sure. Holy.
Yeah. I just I interviewed Richie. It's on the YouTube. You should check it out. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah.
He's a hermit too. Self-proclaimed hermit.
Oh, tough to hermits stick together.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, I got a funny story about you. You want to hear it?
Uh-oh, I'm scared.
It's good. Don't worry. So it was in Atlantic City in maybe 2000, 2001, maybe.
Yeah.
You're reffing. Bobby's Men is reffing.
Yeah.
And it was on I think it was the Diablo field where it had this like big car wash thing with the little things hanging down.
Yep.
And it went across the car wash went across the field instead of like down the length of the field. It went across the field.
Yeah.
And you're standing right at one of the pillars, right? And the thing deflates somehow.
Yeah.
Like something happened where the zipper broke or something like that. And you stood there and you held it and you started getting shot because obviously people are shooting that spot.
Yeah.
And so you crawled inside this tube
100%.
And held it from the inside the whole game. Do you remember this?
Yep. Yeah. I was good at
dedication.
Reffing.
Yeah, man.
I was good at reffing, right? Even up here when I ran my own tournaments. I thought you were going to tell that story was hilarious because remember they had those big fans and they just had it would sit on it, right? And you had to run a wire to it. And it just had like a hose clamp, right? That would hold the fan in. So what happened was a guy slammed into it.
Oh.
And the fan fell inside it.
Ah.
So it was like, okay. And back then the games were 15, 20 minutes long, right? It was
exactly.
Right. So like it wasn't like a point and then we could stop the so it got hot in there. I can tell you that.
Like new people would come to watch the game that were just walking by and I was like, Mike Carey's inside that thing right now. They're like, where? I'm like, no, he's inside the bunker, like holding it together.
Yeah. That's classic. Yeah,
man.
I thought you were going to tell a different one. There was another story from that tournament too, where I yelled at the entire All-Americans team and they were very angry with me. Let's put it that
What
way.
did you yell? Why did you yell?
Well, we were sorting out a call that they automatically were assuming that the call ended up going their way, which is the way it should have, right? This is back in the dark ages when we thought it was a great idea for teams to ref each other. Like, what?
I know. It's just crazy.
It was a good move, but he was out of bounds, right? So, and I'm like, so anyway, I'm sorting out what I was the ultimate judge or the head judge or whatever they called it at the time. And I'm sorting out what happened and Adam starts yelling at me from the sidelines, right? So I turned around and I yelled at him about as loud as I could. I'm like, you don't even know what the call is yet. Why are you yelling?
What are you arguing? You don't know what you're arguing.
Like you're already arguing. You don't even know. And it actually went their way. So it was pretty funny.
It's knee jerk for Adam. I got to argue now. Boom.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I know. I've been in the same boat and done it twice as bad or better than he did, but it was pretty funny. So,
and it's funny. Like you call it the dark ages because it doesn't make sense. Like there's rivalries, right? And you have teams reffing each other, but also the pro players are really the most qualified refs, right?
Even up here, so I ran a paintball tournament series for a long time, and I would judge and do different things like that. And like a pro, even some ways, like you say, how did I get on Bobby's team? When those guys would come up and play in our tournaments, they were just kind of like playing for fun, more or less, right? But
yeah,
he would watch me judge, and he could tell by judging that there was something different there as a player, even. Right? Like, because you can, like, a pro level field awareness, you're kind of you're in a spot before it happens because you can kind of see that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Judging's easy, but being in the right place at the right time and not being out of position, that's hard.
Exactly. And I mean, the only reason pros reffing each other or reffing events is a bad idea is because, there's money on the line at the end of the season, and there's going to be a temptation there to make a call go your way.
You don't have you don't have the Seahawks judging the 49ers the week before they play for the division title, right?
Hey, I'm just saying that they're qualified. They're the best refs.
They are 100% qualified.
Good refs are hard to find.
Yeah, well, and you see it now with a lot of the NXL crew, right? Like, Tom, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is he is there a more qualified individual than somebody that has been there, been through it all, had it go his way, against him, for him? Like, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah. But I don't know how we get good refs today. Like, it's because it's a thankless job. It's a job you cannot pay a lot of money to do as a league. So, that job sucks. You're getting shot all day. You're getting yelled at.
It totally sucks, right? But it's hard. We've all been paintball players, and I hate it. Like, as a tournament promoter, I always used to hate it when all day the people would yell and scream at me about the terrible reffing, right?
Yeah.
And then on the awards podium, they thank the judges, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, and the other part about it too is that it's like, I always used to say too, is it's like, if you're going to thank them when you win, like, what is it? Are you so great because you won, or is it because the judges? Because apparently when you lose, it's because of the judges, but when you win, it's because you were awesome. So,
yeah, it's that's how it goes. Like I said, it's a thankless job.
Thankless job. Maybe it can come from older players, like guys that have been there and done that, but it's brutal too.
Not me. Not gonna do
it.
Like, are you gonna do it?
Oh man, that's a tough go. But you got to support it. Like, I was in the NXL when they, like, literally we went from playing 10-man, roughing each other, right? And then we had an exhibition the day after the World Cup, after playing the Nations Cup thing where we did the country thing or whatever. Then the next time we played Xball, and like, that was even one of my claims to fame at one point, because I was Canadian, like, there was a very short list of guys that in an American team that got to play, Xball on day one and then Xball the whole way through, right? Being Canadian, I was on the Canadian team. So, like, I was pretty experienced. I was as experienced of a guy at Xball as there ever was, right?
Yeah.
But, like, now you look at it where it's like all these different formats, all these different things, but we literally went from judging each other to having a judging crew, right?
Like, but you know what I'll say? Those original NXL judges, Boogaloo, Fish, those guys were great.
Those guys ended up being like legends in their own way, right? Like, they were as much a part of that growth, and as much they contributed just as much as anybody else. But the neat part is just like we grew with them, right? Yeah. Like, what they were the first event compared to what they were a couple of seasons in, you know what I mean? Even as players, we I remember the first time we played Xball as Team Canada, we actually were the first team to play. Like, we played the first point.
Wow.
And so we're playing, and back then I'm on Bob's team, right? And we're shooting our guns, and you shoot like 19 million paintballs a game, right? So I'm there, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna play paintball, right? And I've got this giant tank, and like my intimidator, and like 19 pods on my pack. I go up for the first coin. I'm like, okay, this is
Just need
totally
5.
different. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I need a different tank. I need like all these pods can go away, and
Yep.
so it's neat to see that, like, it's even that format, like everybody's saying about the different formats and stuff, like that first format, like people, it's lost. Do you know how it was played, that first format,
Yeah.
that first event?
Oh, I don't know.
Four,
I started in 03, so right when it
yeah,
became
so right
the
after it,
league.
right? So
Yeah.
4 quarters, 10-minute quarters,
Ooh.
stop time every time you scored.
Oh my gosh, that's brutal.
40-minute games.
And then it went to 2 25-minute halves that the clock didn't stop.
Yep.
Yeah. And uncapped, full auto. And your guys' guns were insane. Like absolutely insane.
Yeah, super fast. Great loaders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, those are it's only 10.5 balls a second now.
You know what? I'm playing now with my kids up here in events, and if you'd asked Mike Carey in 2006 about the 10.5 balls a second, he would have stupid. It's so much fun at 10.5 balls a second. It's fantastic. You can actually make moves. You can actually do things. Gun shoots fast enough, right? It's awesome.
Fast enough. It is. But it's you don't get the carnage that we used to get.
Yeah.
It's
soul stealing.
These days it's people complain about getting bonus balled. Like back then, every game you got bonus balled. It's like you're gonna take your lumps off, like when you're walking off the field. It's just that's a reality.
When we played with Aftershock, I played with Aftershock as well there for a sequence. We were notorious for it. Like we kind of felt like we had Shock Tech actually make us T-shirts that basically said, like, if we get the chance, this is what we're gonna do, and like it was ridiculous. Like absolutely ridiculous. I'm not sure how you could put it on TV now.
Well, it was strategic too, because you really painted someone up, and then their pit crew had to spend a lot of time getting them all cleaned up.
We used to get around that by having 3 jerseys each.
There you go.
Because we knew that when we would do it, people would do it to us.
Yeah.
But I know I used to do it to a few guys that were like, because right at that point you started to see guys like kind of separate themselves from the rest of the pack. So it was like, just like in real sports, right? Like if you can shut down LeBron or, you know what I mean? Like you could, so then you'd get guys like me that maybe I wasn't the best, strongest player on the world, but like if you gave me a specific job and a specific number, it's like, hey, Mike, we need you to, like, okay.
You need you to sweep the knee.
Yeah, exactly. Sweep the leg. Yeah. Good.
Tell me a good story that no one knows about that would get you in trouble.
A good story that no one knows about that would get me in trouble. I don't know. I didn't do a whole bunch of crazy bad things.
How about a memory that really stands out for you?
But you know what? One of the funniest. This was a long time ago. This was my first round my first go through with Bob's team. We were playing in Boston, and it was like in Cape Cod. It was like literally at the back of a driving range. It was one of the fields, like literally right at the back of a driving range. So I had to hope there was nobody hitting 350 because the balls would roll right into the thing. Anyway, it's the first time ever we were Bob alongside Ironmen. It was right when, remember the Shocker 4x4?
Of course. Shaka Turbo.
So, yeah, the turbo, right? That's it. So probably invented ramping, that gun, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure. It was, yeah.
Yeah. So I was still using my autococker at the time. And this was my first go through with Bob's team. So I was still using an autococker. I think I was one of the last guys to use an autococker. And there's a story why I switched, but so we're playing against Image on this sticks and bunkers field. We're playing against Image, and I remember it clearly, like as the next day, or as clear as day. It was the first time ever in my life playing paintball where I was like, we have no chance of, like, I think we could have got it. I think we could have got a draw, like just, but it was like everything that I'd ever done. Like that doesn't happen anymore. But remember the infamous dead man walks? Like,
Of course.
everybody was always dead man walk, dead man walk, dead man walk, right? And I always thought that was terrible, right?
Yeah.
Like it was the worst possible thing you could do. But I remember it like yesterday. I was playing with the guy who was beside me was Greg Hastings, Red. He was like on a bunker, couple over, and I think I had Ron Nelson behind me with a crazy 4x4 gun, and I was like, we're never getting through against all the Image guys, right? I think LD was playing with them at the time and stuff like that. It was the first time ever where I was like, man, I should do a dead man's walk. That's the only way that we could ever possibly do well here. I never did the dead man's walk, but the story on my autococker, I'm in Nashville playing, right? We're playing 10-man in Nashville, and I'm like one of the last guys still using an autococker. Everybody else is onto Angels and Intimidators. So I'm on Bob's team using an Intimidator, or using an autococker still. I slide into the 50 like I know what I'm doing. I'm the greatest paintball player ever. And literally I look inside quick, and there's a guy there. I come out with my autococker, bang, 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 bang. Every single ball misses him. Like, I mean, every ball misses him. I go back in, get shot in the goggles. Yeah. And I'm like, I believe that was the last game I used my autococker, because my theory was, of course, if I'd have come out.
Dude,
that was my last autococker.
If you used an autococker when everyone was, switching to Angels, you were outgunned for sure.
I remember seeing the first Angel ever in Pittsburgh in 1996. Jacko had one. And he was playing with Avalanche, and Avalanche won that tournament, right? And it was the very, very first one. And this gun shot so fast, it would break paint, and it had some issues still, right? They were still sorting through it. That was like literally like the Oppenheimer moment, right? It was like, things are changing.
Like the game changed just now. Boom.
Yeah, just now it just changed. So
yeah, like started I guess autocockers and automags kind of started the arms race, right?
Well, could you imagine in this day and age, right? Like when I was like in that heyday, kind of like 98 to like 2000, or even, well, earlier for sure, like 95 probably to 2000. If you would go to a high-end paintball tournament, there's two guns.
Autocockers and mags, that's it.
That's it.
And it depends on where you live. Like if you're on the West Coast, you're going to shoot a butt or gun. If you're on the East Coast, then you're gonna shoot an automag,
Yep. Yeah.
But
yeah,
I never shot an automag.
No, I had one. Yeah.
I mean, I know they're faster than an autococker, but autocockers are supposedly more accurate.
Yeah, they're better. It's a better gun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a better gun. Yeah. Could you imagine though if back in the day, like you see the mechanical guns now, right? Like the GOG Enemy, the DSR gun, the Shocker, like that. Could you imagine if you'd invented that in 2000 or like 1995?
I think that electronic guns probably would have never got made.
Never. Yeah.
There would be no point, because like, the Shocker and the Planet Eclipse guns and the Luxes, the mechanical versions, you can shoot them faster than an XL 10.5 balls a second.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
It's crazy. So I think if those came out in 95, the Angel would have never existed, because there would have not been a need for it.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. It's neat.
It is. So Mike, who is your favorite teammate throughout the years?
Teammate. I don't. I did when you ask the people that question, do they ever give you just one? Probably not.
Sometimes.
Right? Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah.
I look at
it. You don't have to give me one. You can give me a couple.
No. I look at it too. Like there's different eras, right? Like for me, I kind of had my Bob Long Ironmen Oakland Assassins era, and then kind of my Aftershock / Ironmen / guest player kind of Nexus, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Probably one of the players like on the field that I connected with the best was probably Mike Paxson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, like, if I had a nickel for every picture I had of Mike Paxson shooting at a guy from the top side of the bunker and me shooting at the guy from the bottom side of the bunker, and then me launching to the 50 as he kept yelling and screaming. I would say Paxson from like my Aftershock days. You know, it's hard not to say Bob Long, because like the guy taught me so much and was kind of, you know, such a huge, like everything I did after, you know, even before, right? Like we all learned from Bob at that point, right? So
Yeah.
probably them, you know. I don't know. There'd be so many other ones in there.
You still talk to Bob?
I don't as much. I think I'm a self-proclaimed hermit. So like, try to find me on Facebook. Did you try and find me on Facebook? Admit it. Did
No,
you try and find me?
I didn't bother. As soon as you
Yeah.
replied your email that I'm a hermit, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna find
Yeah.
him
So
anywhere.
like, I think a lot of people use that metric as a kind of a way to kind of stay in touch, and I'm not on there at all. So, but yeah, you know, I'm a hermit. You know, like I've been kind of out of it. The thing that's kind of brought me back a bit is you know, playing with my kids. You know, that's kind of, you know, like I bought guns again. I got, you know, so like, you know, I didn't even own a gun for a long time, you know. After you play too, like I don't know, you know, how much you went through it or not too. Like I know it's pro paintball, so it's not like, you know, it's not like you're a baseball player or a basketball player, but like when you leave, there is that, you know, what do I do now kind of thing, right?
For sure.
Right. So that hit me pretty hard,
Yeah.
right? Like I got pretty, you know, I had nothing to do and I tried to kind of work, you know, I got a little heavy, you know, I mean, I'm 50, you know, different things like that, right? You know, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, I replaced it with stuff. Like I started running and started running marathons. I've run 20 marathons all across the world and stuff like that. So,
Dang.
but I don't know, favorite teammates, you know, like, you know, I know one guy that I always kind of connected with and thought was great was Tyler Michaud. Remember Tyler Michaud?
Yeah, I do.
So I
I
was
played a
there when he
10
was.
man with him recently.
Oh,
Or
did you?
a
Yeah.
year or so ago. Yeah.
I was there when he was trying out to play on Bob's team. Right. And
Nice.
you could see that there was something different, right? Like, you know, so he'd be a guy. Plus, I went to a Seahawk game with him. I took him to a Monday Night Football game at the
Nice.
Seahawks Stadium, so that was good. I don't know. It's hard to say one though. Hey, like
How about today?
today, like
Yeah.
who's my favorite player or
Teammate.
teammate? My two kids, Benjamin Carey and Gabriel Carey.
That's
Yeah.
such a blessing that you get to play and
You
compete
know,
with your sons.
It's, you know, like I didn't have the world's greatest career. Thankfully, I got to win a couple tournaments and things, you know, do things like that. And I'm super proud of it. You know, I'm proud of how long I stayed and played pro and met all these cool people and, you know, learned the industry and stuff like that. But I won a local open event with my kids
Oh
in
man.
August.
So
And
good.
it was as good, or it was better than standing on the podium in France in front of
I bet.
5,000 screaming people in a soccer stadium, you know, or even in that my claim to fame is probably as a player is probably I did a run through against the Russians in France to have Arnold Francisco hang the flag with like 2 seconds left, because back then you had to do 7-man catch and retrieve, right?
Yeah.
And winning an Xball Open tournament in Canada in August 2023 was better than that. So, with my kids,
Man, I just hope and pray that my kid's only 3 right now, but
yeah,
that's the dream to me, because I'm a paintball nerd, Mike. Obviously I love paintball, and I think about the future and me being able to play with him. It sounds so great, you know. And I look at paintball families like the Rabakoffs and you know Gary Shaw's, his sons, and you know, I'm just like, man, I want that, but
it's
I also want
interesting.
it to be his choice, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because no two, you know, I have 3 kids. My daughter's older, you know, not interested in paintball, but they're all different. My youngest son, Gabriel, played and wanted to play. That's all he wanted to do at 8. But my older son, Benjamin, the bug didn't really bite him until 16 or so.
Huh.
Right. and now they're both like, they both can't get enough, right? We're going to come down and play at World Cup, and they
That's awesome.
are over the moon pumped about going down to play at World Cup, right? So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, living the dream.
yeah.
Well,
That's
what
exciting.
about pro player? Like over the years, who's been your someone that you really like to watch?
It's interesting. I think I kind of like the people that I seen, you know, that I seen kind of go through the, like, even like our system here. So like a lot of the Yakima kids from Impact
Yeah,
and Justin Cornell,
yeah,
those guys for they kind of come through our area, right? They played in all, like, I ran paintball tournaments for 30 years. Shoot, I think they've won 3/4 of them, right? And they haven't played in 10 years up here. They won everything, right? And they did it right. Like they, I even coached them when they were just a D3 team at World Cup, 2003 World Cup. They won the 2003 World Cup Xball tournament. And because back then, remember, you could have a coach like literally on the field.
yep.
That
Yelling
was a
at
big
you.
advantage, having a coach
Sure.
that had played Xball, more, as much or more than anyone. And it's just awesome to see how they've just, exploded and far exceeded anything that I ever did or anything that I could have even imagined. Best case scenario, to see them still doing it today
Yeah.
is unbelievable.
Watch them
Justin
evolve.
Cornell actually came in. He was in Calgary in the summer, and he did a clinic here. And one of my kids were at the clinic. So like, here's someone who cut his teeth playing as a 16, 17-year-old at my field is now teaching my 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old kid. So it's that full circle, right?
I love it, man.
Yeah.
You're a paintball nerd through and through. You've been in it since the beginning,
Yep. Yeah.
basically.
When I
I would.
stopped playing, one of my kind of claims to fame when I stopped playing is I was kind of, that because guys were leaving, like guys that I looked up to and I thought the world of as far as players and guys, right? Like Shane Pastena and Billy Saransky, Todd Adamson, like those are kind of the guys. Like I was like, that's how you do it, right? And like as those guys kind of started to leave, and as my time was kind of winding down, the number of guys that had played pro um, in the woods, in arenas, in parking lots with turf, you know what I mean? Like it started to get less and
Yeah.
less and less and less and less. And by 2000 and like, I think I played my last pro event like 07, 08 or whatever. I was looking around and I'm like, there's none of us left.
Yeah.
Like who's left? Like I couldn't, I've struggled to try to kind of figure out who was kind of the last guy that played in the woods in all the different ways, right? And it's hard to figure out who that person was, because it's a neat
Well,
thing, right?
come to the ICPL and they're all back.
Yeah, that's
They're all
actually, I'm
back,
super
buddy.
excited. I've watched it on TV. Like the last 2 years or so, like again, being Canadian, like we haven't been able to really buy an airline ticket to go to the United States with the full confidence that we're actually going to be able to get on that plane, right?
Right.
So it's been kind of goofy, but that's kind of changed now. Like, you know, so yeah, so now that's kind of actually potentially on the table. Well, like we're coming to World Cup, and we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to actually get on an airplane. So we'll see how it goes. So
I mean, you could also drive. Andy drives. He makes it. He makes it down.
yeah, he's is he in Ontario, Quebec?
I'm actually not sure
Yeah,
what part of Canada. Canada's
you know what?
gigantic, so
And
I'm not sure.
Andy's another guy that it was really cool. We played the Canadian Xball event together, and we were kind of probably the two most known guys that were on that team. And I
Yeah.
think if you ask him to, I don't think either of us has ever played as much paintball in one weekend as we did then, right? Me, Andy, and Roddy McDonald. You remember Roddy McDonald?
Yep. Oh yeah.
Played with Bob and
Yep.
All Americans, and we played a lot of paintball that weekend.
Yeah. Paintball was played a lot more back in those days in general.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go to a pro practice today, it's a lot shorter. You know, and I think paint is a factor there. But I remember practicing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just grinding it out from early in the morning until the sun was going down.
Yep.
And it's just created a different feel there.
when I played with Aftershock, Rennick and Jeremy used to say, "See that skid over there? Practice is
Done
over
when
when it's gone."
Yeah.
Right? And it's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, wow, okay. And you would literally play 12, 13 hours a day.
Yeah.
Again and again and again and again.
You know what we sound like right now? Back in my day.
You know what though? It is really cool, and playing with my kids up here, like we follow the exact same NXL rules currently. We do like a 12-minute game with, I think, a 5-point mercy, the 10.5 balls a second. Zyzek, it's so great. It's so fun. Like you can actually play, and you're not losing 9 dudes off the break because everybody's got shoots 1,000 miles an hour. So, and I'm 50, so I don't bounce back from like, falling down once in a while quite as well as I did when I was 30.
Not as graceful as you used to be.
No, not at all.
Well, with being in paintball for so long, I'm sure you've got something. I mean, you're in a paintball shop, so I'm sure you got something cool you could show off. What do you got?
Yeah, I got a few things. I don't have like we talked before, I don't have as many things as I should probably have, but you guys won't recognize that, hey? One of those. Remember when that came out? You remember how like it's so big now, like you could almost hide behind it. Right?
Yeah. And but context is everything, right? And when that gun came out, it was kind of like people were still excited about it because it was a Matrix that had shrunk down. So in comparison to the Matrix, it was small and compact.
Yeah, remember that thing? It was like a giant triangle.
Exactly. Yeah. Huge gun and heavy. Yeah. And I was actually working at Dye when the DMC was created. And it was kind of like this vision that Youngblood had of, making a gun that was composite and aluminum. And, it was before that, the guns were CNC milled out of a block of aluminum.
Yeah.
And
extrusion, these right? Like just a block. Yeah.
Yeah. And the DMC was the first gun that was made. I forgot what term, but it's kind of like cast.
Yeah.
It's cast, and they like,
like a mold. It's like a mold.
A mold. And then they put the composite over it. And they were also made, overseas. And, at the time, Dye was making everything in San Diego.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like Dye's way of like testing things out of manufacturing in Taiwan. So that's a cool one. You don't see very many DMCs, especially in that condition.
Yeah. It's crazy to think like back then, like everything was made here. Right. Yeah. And it just kind of changed, right? You know what I mean? Like just with the rest of the world at the same time, right? But
well, I guess just like you said, that with the rest of the world, but the manufacturers started to focus on, hey, we need to make more money, and how do we make this cheaper? And and that just makes sense. That's how all industries go. But I
don't have as many stuff here, as geeky stuff here as I probably should. Like some of those old autocockers. I have a couple of those old autocockers, a Shock Tech one and things like that. That are pretty cool, right?
Let me ask you this: do you still have your Flex Purple Ice?
I do. Yeah.
The original one that you wore.
Yeah. Yeah. My kid Gabriel, who's now down the Flex 19. What are they? They call them Pro Flex, right? Pro Flex.
Yeah.
So he's down the Pro Flex rabbit hole, and so this mask, like literally, I haven't worn it since I like wore it back in the day, right? And he was like, "Oh, I should wear that at practice or a tournament." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we can." And so I went to go put a lens in it. It's really old, Zyzek. So like, I looked on the floor in my kitchen. I'm like, "What is all that black stuff?" And it's the foam that has basically just.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the goggle's in perfect condition, but the foam's 30 years old, and it just. I'm like, "No, you're not wearing this. It's going back on the wall." So I have it in my little garage kind of area.
You can
a few things. Yeah.
You can get replacement foam.
That's the next step. I think will happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we still allowed to roll them up? Because I used to like wear it and then roll it up, and I'm like, no. Right.
Oh, so yours is all like misshapen, I'm sure.
Oh, well, it's not actually that bad because it's been unrolled for 20 years and hanging
Yeah.
in my garage on a peg. So it's in pretty good
Yeah.
shape.
You can't roll them up anymore. You can't really modify your goggles in any way.
Which
Like
is
people
good.
used to cut their Flex 7s and stuff. And
Zyzek, we used to wear, I have pictures of me playing in paintball tournaments with just goggles on.
I never was there, but
just goggles. Like,
yeah.
the time, things have changed where they actually had to make a rule where it forced the players that you can't modify the mask from which it comes from the manufacturer, because guys would just rip the thing off or they'd cut holes in it. Yep. It's like, nope.
Oh, you know what else is a rule these days? Chin straps. Your goggles have to have a chin strap.
Well, as a guy who used to run through the center of the field like all the time, that's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Goggles can fall off when it gets hairy.
My goggles have fallen off. I saw Daryl Trent one time do a run through. He was playing for the All-Americans at this time. It was in that same tournament in Boston I was telling you about. And he went and did a run through, and it's one bunker, two bunker like this. And he spun around, and then he got tangled up in his feet, and he fell down.
Goggles just flew off.
And in true Daryl Trent fashion, he did not stop shooting his gun. He just closed his eyes and kept shooting his gun.
Well, paintball will go through your eyelid for sure.
100%. Like, you should have.
Yeah. Maybe just like, a little peek like this.
Right? Like a scary movie. It's Halloween, right? Like a scary movie. So,
Daryl Trent's a bad man, dude. He's a tough one.
100%. 100%. So,
Mike, what advice do you give your kids about competing? What advice would you give new players?
It's funny, like as good as a player as I kind of, I wasn't, I think you have to be honest with how you were, like whether you were good, bad, indifferent, or whatever. If you were able to stick around long enough, you liked it, you enjoyed it, and things like that. But I always thought I was a better coach, right, than I was a player, right? So I got the opportunity to coach a few different teams, like the Vendetta team, like right towards the end of the NPPL. I coached a Vendetta team. We actually lost to X Factor in the finals at Huntington Beach. Remember Huntington Beach?
Oh yeah,
so fun, right?
So amazing, yeah.
So you have to be like, if it's advice for a younger player, like you have to be there because you want to be there, right? Like it's like any other sport. I know it's cliche, but like if you don't want to be there, then you're not going to give your full effort, right?
Right.
The other part is in it, and you can say this to anybody, no matter what they want to be involved in, is be coachable, right? Like try to understand or take in different information from different people, right?
Yeah.
Just be the best representative of yourself while you're doing it, right? Like even when I was starting, I wasn't the best player in my area, like not close, right? But I showed up and I got better and I got better, and I exposed myself to uncomfortable situations. You know what I mean? That I couldn't, and that meant better players, better teams. So much today, I think it's a bad thing that you have such division of teams, right? Like, like even up here at our events, the open guys don't play the D2 guys or whatever you call it, right? Back in the day, right? Like you would pay your entry fee to go play in a tournament, and if there was 16 pros at the tournament, like you were going to at least play one of them.
Yeah, you drew one or two.
Yeah, like if you drew one, that was almost a good thing because you knew you were playing on one of the best pro teams in the world. If you got two, you were probably playing, somebody that was in the middle of the road or the bottom of the road as far as the pros go, right? But I know for when I had my Vendetta 10-man team, like that's where we made our bones, right? Like that's like what?
It was an
To
opportunity.
play Bad Company. 100. That's how I ended up, going to the next level when my team went away.
Yeah.
Like if Vendetta, because a lot of it all came from me as far as game plans and ideas and things like that. If every time we played a pro team we got smashed, when my team broke up, nobody would have had any interest in me, right? So it's like, oh wait, those guys always are tough to handle. Like, why are they tough to handle? Oh, Roddy plays on that team. Boom, Roddy gets picked up. Oh, Mike plays on it. Oh, we'll pick him up too, right?
That's so true. Like players don't have the same 100%. Opportunity that we did back in the day.
that's a difficult part now. Is like, what is the path, right? Like my son Benjamin, he's 18, 19 years old, right? He is light years better, more talented, better coached, more athletic, everything better than I ever was at 19, right? But what's the path? How does a guy like that, get there, right? Because there's lots of Benjamin Careys out there, right?
Well, unless his team goes through the ranks together, which rarely happens,
It
it's
never
hard.
happens.
Like, how does he
It
get
never happens.
noticed unless he travels to
Right.
practices and stuff? I don't know. That's true. It's a
Yeah.
hard one.
Yeah. So it's difficult. Like, even up here, the path would have been through a situation like Impact, right? But
Mm.
Impact is that rare example of what you're talking about, where the group they started with, you know what I mean? They kept a lot of the pieces as they went forward. Of course,
Yeah.
time comes through where, you obviously, if you're going to be a world-class team, you have to use all your resources to make sure you have all the best players to give you a chance to win, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but paintball's so much
Yeah.
fun. And the
It
second it
is.
stops being fun, you know what I mean? Like if it becomes your job and you don't like your job, then you got a problem,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Then you quit, and that's what a lot of us did. I took a 10-year hiatus from paintball. Richie took
yeah,
a 15-year hiatus from paintball.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like I remember when it did become a job and the
yeah,
kind of the joy got sucked out of it,
yeah,
and I had to refind it. And but now I'm never going back because I know how to keep it fun,
yeah. I did the same, and for me, it had to be and I hope it happens for you in 10 years, right? Like for
Yeah.
me, it was, my kids. Like I literally have pictures of my kids, uh, Gabriel in particular, like full head, mask. He's got blue jeans on, and he can barely hold the gun, even though he's got perfect form. And now, I mean, you can see like pictures of him playing. It's like, oh, well, that guy, like he knows what he's doing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's awesome to just see that evolution, and
I can't
I'm
wait.
really excited for them to kind of see, World Cup, the paintball on the biggest stage possible. That's going to be super cool.
What are you most thankful for that paintball's given you?
Well, it's literally given me everything, right? Like through, it's literally given me everything, right? Um,
It's your life.
yeah, yeah. Like it's literally like I run a little wholesale retail, paintball little thing going, right? And people come in my shop and they say, I keep my baseball cap on, so maybe I look a little younger than I should or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, do you work here?" And I'm like, "Nope. Some idiot at 19 years old started a paintball store, and he's still here, right?" So 30 years later. So like it's literally become my entire life essentially, right? So it's pretty
I
cool.
love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Mike, thank you so much for your time here. Is
Awesome. Yeah.
there anything that you'd like to part with for the paintball community?
Part with. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's if everybody that played paintball could get half as much out of it, or even a tenth as much out of it as I have, I mean, that would be, that'd be my wish for everybody. It's funny in a world of this world now where we're trying to include and treat everybody fairly and everything else like that. My favorite thing about paintball is it just doesn't care.
Yep. Paint doesn't lie. The ball
Paint
doesn't
don't
lie.
lie, the ball don't lie, right? Right? You know what I mean? And it's one of the very very few things out there. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, or how you feel. It's fantastic. It's great. There's
How do we
worse
buy
ways
from
to
your
make a
store?
living. What's that?
How do we buy from your store? Where do we go?
I have a website. It's very simple, very easy. Paintballgear.ca, because we're in Canada, but we
Yep.
ship all over. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's
Thank
a
you,
good
Mike.
time. Yeah, you're gonna be in World Cup.
I am.
See you there.
I'll see you. I'll be making content for Go Sports.
Perfect. Yeah,
So
I have a Go Sports subscription. I think everybody should have one.
it's $10. Just do it.
$10?
Support
What are you
paintball.
talking about? $10. No, it's
Awesome.
great. Great. Appreciate what you do, and you got me out of my hole a little bit. So we'll see you in
Got him.
Yeah, got it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, maybe.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
Okay.